Concerning the Southeast, what do you say of those who are gainfully employed and are outside the shores of the country, also mooting the same idea as those we saw across the Niger?
Well, my view is that they are largely sympathizers. I don't think they really. You don't find any key leaders or people of substantial standing who are behind this business of sovereign state of Biafra. It's mind over matter, in my view. It exists only in the mind of people who use it as a vehicle to become relevant and get the necessary attention with regards to the challenge of the economy and the perception of marginalization. And I move even further. Look at the numbers of last year. And in fact, when you go back the last 5 to 6 years, Nigerians in the diaspora have remitted to Nigeria an average of $21 billion a year. Last year was $24 billion. What does that tell you? When you go further and look at those specifics and where those monies were coming to in terms of states, a good chunk of that money were remitted by young people from the southeast and south-south. These are the facts. So the issue is the youth of Nigeria, all over the world, are hard-working, intelligent people who simply need opportunities to have their own lives. And they're entitled to that. And I think that that's where we need to now fine-tune our communication. And by the way, I think that the tough year we've had in 2014 hasn't helped matters. And coming up now to the first 1 year of this administration. Mr. President, we must give him credit for this relentless fight against corruption. It had to be done.
You know, I have to go back to this. I have to go back to the Southeast matter. The thing is getting messier by the day.
Yes.
Peaceful protests. Now we're getting to see people dying from both sides, from the security agency side, and a significant amount of people, young men, killed in what would have been a peaceful protest. Mm-hmm. Is the nation handling this the way it should have?
But that's the conversation. My view is that we are not looking at the big picture. The big picture is the perception of young people across this country, and now the young people of the southeast and south-south, in my view, holding on to the vehicle of the Biafra, sovereign state of Biafra, which is, it has no ideological backing to it. It's more of mind over matter, to try to become relevant and become, in fact, brought to the table of stakeholders of Nigeria, because they feel let down by the leadership, they feel let down by the political elite, they feel let down by the community they belong, because of a lack of economic opportunities for our young people. And look, you're going to probably find this being expressed by young people as well in other parts of Nigeria. We're already seeing signs of that. This ought not be a surprise in my view. But having said that, let's look at the key thing. What do we need to do to ensure that we focus on economic opportunities for our young people? That's a major job. We need quality education. My party talks about free education. In Imo State, education is free. We talk about leaders who are passionate about youth employment and development. Look at what Dangote is doing as an individual and his group. Look at what Tony Elumelu is doing as an individual, as a group. We need more champions for the youth. So the issue is, let's not mix this thing up and miss the point. Because they clearly, in my view, the communication deficiency is very strong. I don't hear anybody moving around the country, engaging the youth, explaining to them where we are, what the government is, states, local governments, where we're going, what we need to do more, where the light is at the end of the tunnel, how they too will have their dreams met to a reasonable extent and degree. I think those are the real issues.
Mr. Chukwueke, you've talked about the youth empowerment, economic opportunities, and frustration bust up, but what examples are the youth having before them in the Southeast? What are the examples before them?
Well, and that's also a good point. Look, I have been very concerned, and as you know, I've run for governor a couple of times in Imo, where you have a situation where even in our schools, in the tertiary institutions, the sort of education our young people are getting are not the level that gives them the skills necessary for the jobs in the local economy. So when you talk about youth unemployment, you're also now looking at the more specific issue of employable youth. If you look at the opportunities in Nigeria today for our young people when it comes to skills, you can have any degrees from any of the Nigerian universities, but where are the jobs? They're in the hospitality business, they're in mechanical and they're in the mechanical and automotive engineering. They are in obviously hydrocarbon, pipeline welding, and all the different aspects of oil service. In fact, when you move further, you find a lot of jobs in the service industry. So if your education and the quality of it is not geared towards the jobs in the local economy, you're going to be a graduate, but you're not going to be employable. Now, but let's even go more specifically. Why are we not talking about some bold steps now, where the federal government and the states can partner in some bold economic moves in commercial agriculture?
Mr. Chukwueke,
Why we're not talking about what to do to get on with solving this problem?
the question I asked
Yes.
is, yes, the government is there.
Yes.
But there are elders, there are older brothers to these youth who have been in the South and the Southeast.
Yes.
Why do we have to always look to the government? Yes, the government has its role to play, and I'm not taking it away from them. But how can the elders, the older brothers, help the youth to find avenues to express themselves without having to resort to this?
Well, let me tell you, when bread and butter issues become the real issues, the so-called elders and advisors take a back seat because they have to. The youth we're talking about are people who are talking about jobs and are talking about food on the table, are talking about roof over their heads, are talking about raising families of their own, are talking about their own future. And they feel that they have been let down, not necessarily by federal government, but by states, people who could have helped them in their communities, by local government structures, by even the business community. It's a total letdown because there is no purposeful, specific, focused youth economic empowerment program. And we must start to address that.
Many will say that, well, if that were the case, if they start addressing it, providing jobs, who knows, it just may fizzle out. But the other part of it that raises a lot of concern is that it seems to be getting stronger as the day go by. And then if you look at the protests, it also seems organized. It means that somebody somewhere must be sponsoring this kind of gatherings.
I have my very serious doubts about any serious people sponsoring the pro-Biafran sovereign state business. I mean, let's be real. It's mind over matter. It's a vehicle, in my view, of expression of the frustration and the marginalization the youth feel. I go back to the point of the economy. Look at what's happening in KB State.